So I don't have my Google Glass today because I lent it to somebody to build an app, but I wanted to start digging in on what the business model of Google Glass might be, because Google said there's no ads allowed on apps. So I invited the founder of AdStage, who's one of my favorite advertising companies, to come and just have a chat. And that's going to be a little different than our usual show, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Who are you?
So my name is Sahil Jain, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of AdStage. A little background on myself. I ended up dropping out of high school to get my first job at Yahoo when I was 17. Then tried out college for a bit, went to UC Berkeley, dropped out at 19 to join AOL, doing a little bit of West Coast mergers and acquisitions. And then I actually left very quickly. I couldn't stand the big company bureaucracy. And so I went to start my first company called Trigger.io when I was 20. And then after 2 years of being a founder there, I had this idea for AdStage, a cross-network ad platform, and I really wanted to see it through. And so I left, and here I am today.
Yeah, I saw you when I judged Cal Canis' launch conference, which another one's coming up soon. Mm-hmm. And I was really impressed with you. And we've done separate shows on your business and
yep.
whatnot, so we can talk about that later.
Yeah.
But we both started off camera. We started talking about Google Glass, and Google said no advertising in this
yep.
window that they're going to show us full time.
Yep.
And so I wondered what an advertising genius like you thinks about that and thinks about what it means for the future of advertising.
Definitely. I mean, I wouldn't consider myself a genius, but I think that I have a different perspective because I haven't been in the advertising world for too long. And so, yeah, as you said, we've been talking off camera about the various things that Google could do, or how they would include or be inclusive of advertising on the Google Glass. And I think that there's a couple of things that we can start with and jump right in. Both from kind of the ad authoring perspective, so as an advertising creator, maybe you're on the brand side or an agency, or from the consumer side, how are these consumers going to see ads at some point on the Google Glass, and is it going to be, whether you call it an ad or an update, it doesn't really matter these days.
Yep.
And so I think we should dig into that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sound good?
You had some slides, so let me know when you want to dig into the slides.
Yeah, we can actually dig right in and just start. Slides are boring, so we can wrap through them, and then we can start chatting about them.
I just want to see what you prepared a little bit.
So like I was saying, I think it's really interesting. So let's tell the audience and kind of let them know what the actual reference Google has. So in their actual developer docs, it just says no ads. You may not serve or include any advertisements in your API client, which is really interesting, right? So you're talking about API clients that by the nature of what they are, like Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn, all of their mobile apps include their mobile versions of their ads, right? And so Google Glass is saying, nope, at least right now, we're not gonna have you have those ads in there. But that confuses me, because fundamentally, there's these new ad types that people are creating on these kind of stream-based networks called sponsored updates or sponsored stories. So I had a couple examples just to show you. So here's actually a sponsored, I think it's just a sponsored post, and this is on the front page of Yahoo, right? So you can see it's the one in the center that's a little bit yellow by Compare Cards, and it just fits right into the news feed that you typically have, where I have news from the NBA, things like that, right? You have another one, which is on LinkedIn. So they just recently announced a new ad type, and this is theirs. It's called a sponsored update, which is actually performing really well for LinkedIn, so they're pretty happy about that. But this is in their news feed. It looks like just another update. You can like it, you can comment it. The social actions are there, right?
So if you have a LinkedIn app on Glass, you might see something like that.
Perhaps. Right?
And
is that considered an ad? Is that so? That's the question, right? Is like that's what I'm confused about, and I'm curious to kind of figure it out. I mean, here's another one on Facebook, the sponsored page or the sponsored post, and then finally, here's Twitter, and you can see the little orange kind of arrows with the promoted tweet, and so you have the promoted tweet by Gigya, and then you have some promoted people, some promoted trends on the left-hand side, and it's really interesting because is this now considered an app, or is this actually just considered content, right? In which case, can Twitter, when they make, Twitter has their Google Glass app. We can actually look at it right here. So here's a couple screens that I pulled for Twitter's Google Glass app, and I think this is actually just showing a single, I don't have their stream image. I actually don't even know if they have a stream on Google Glass. But
they do.
They do, right?
Yeah.
And so have you seen any promoted tweets on it?
I have not, but it only, the Twitter app right now only shows tweets from your friends.
Right.
Now, it might include a promoted tweet, but it doesn't say promoted.
Right.
Because if, let's say, Om Malik is one of the guys I listen to, so I see everything that Om writes on his Twitter account on my Glass. Now, if he retweeted a promoted tweet, I
Would
bet
you
I
see-
would
yeah.
see that, and I
Right.
don't know that that would be marked as a promoted tweet because he tweeted it and
Exactly.
sent it to me, right?
Yep.
So that's a little bit different.
And so that's
because-
where I think that the world might kind of, an ad versus content and how the apps are displaying these ads.
Yeah.
Really, they're just it's promoted content, right? It's just being able to, you were telling me a story about, a tweet that you're going to be doing pretty soon, and then it's going to get pushed out to folks, and then
Yeah.
they're going to actually promote it. It's just basically buying a larger reach, because they have these algorithms that only show a status update or a tweet to a group of folks.
Yeah.
And then if you pay a little bit of money to, say, Facebook, they'll extend that group. They'll extend that reach, right? But then you have to wonder, technically it still is an ad unit, right? But at the same time, it's a very different ad unit by nature. It's
Yeah.
not a direct intent ad unit, right? So we're not talking about search ads here. We're
It's not
talking
like
about
a
social.
banner ad that's sitting
Yeah.
over on the right or
No.
something that's interrupted.
It's
like
very
a
much
TV.
exactly ingrained into your actual workflow.
Yeah.
And so
well,
you
it's a
have to
mixture
wonder.
of content and advertisement because
And social validation, because it says, even on the Twitter ad, right, for example, it said Robert Scoble followed this company, right? So it gives you a little bit more incentive. Oh, my friend is following this, maybe I should take a look. And so that whole world is kind of merging together. And then what I wanted to show you next, and then one of the final slides, is just, this is pulled from IAB's kind of report for the 2012. And so out of total $36.6 billion in online advertising, 6% came from digital video ads, right?
Yeah.
And that number is growing. You can see it kind of really small on the right chart with the blue arrow. Digital is continuing to trend up, right? Digital video. And that's really interesting too, because I think the most exciting use case for the Google Glass, at least so far for me and from a consumer perspective, has been just capturing video in a first-person view, right? And so that's where the whole world.
if I had glass and I took a picture of my Coke can, is that an ad?
Well, if Coke promotes it, it is then, right?
Yeah.
So Coke can see that actual tweet that you've actually posted now and say, hey, that's kind of unique that Robert Scoble posted up a picture of it, got a really good shot of the Coke can. They can actually just go in, find the tweet, and click promote.
Or even if they force you not to push through the promoted tweet, Coca-Cola could have a contest.
Yeah.
Take a picture of you
Yeah.
with a Coke can, or
Yeah.
it's
a whole new type, right?
And that gets pushed through because it's not an ad. They didn't pay me really to create the content, but they're holding a contest,
Right.
which could get me to
Right.
push out more experiences, right?
And so that's what actually leads me to thinking about more of the authoring side. So I think, just to make it clear, I think that apps at some point, I don't actually know if sponsored updates and stories are considered ads, against the violation for Google Glass.
Yeah.
I suspect right now they are, because they're really new, so people still call them ads. But I think slowly they're not going to be called ads so much.
Well, also, one of the things I want for Google Glass is an app for the shopping mall.
Right.
And there's an app called Tag What that you put on your phone, and it shows you offers, actionable offers from Facebook that were made within 100 yards of you.
Exactly.
So you walk by a store and it shows you an ad on your phone. Now, is that not allowed? And it's not really an ad because it's a Facebook status message.
And you want that. Right? And so actually a couple of years ago is when I started learning about the mobile side of it, and kind of what you just spoke about was geofencing.
Yeah.
Right? And so whenever I go into a Safeway, for
Explain
example.
what a geofence is, because I know what that is, but
Sure.
not
So a
everybody knows it.
geofence, let's say that there's a Safeway down the street,
Yeah.
and Safeway's marketing team wants to make sure that anytime someone walks into the confines of a Safeway, they see something pop up on their phone, a push notification or something. So they can actually set a geofence around that location, right, around the XY coordinates of that location,
Yeah.
and then now that location says, okay, this location triggers something.
Yeah.
Triggers some kind of event, right? In this case, it'll be event push notification, and the push notifications content will be, $2 when you buy, 6 tomatoes or something.
And
right?
so even if Google says no ads, Safeway could release a Google Glass app that you have in your glass. You walk into Safeway and it could have a to-do list.
Yeah.
That's not an ad,
No.
right? That's content. That's helping me live my life, right?
Yep, exactly.
And then it could attach a little line, hey, there's $2 off if you buy, Cheerios right now.
Exactly.
Whatever.
And that would be a shame,
And is that
actually,
an
if they left it
ad? There's somebody paying for that.
Yeah.
And I'm getting an offer, but I'm getting a benefit, right? By
True.
walking into Safeway, and they know my buying behavior because they have my Safeway card, so
I think it would be a
pair
huge
that.
shame if they locked off those kind of apps, because by then, it's a wearable device, right? The nature is that you want to interact with it. It wants to enrich your life a little bit. And I think as the question with ads always comes in is how relevant is the ad really to you, right? And if it starts becoming the case that you start seeing ads for products that you don't at all want in Safeway, it might become a little bit annoying,
Yeah.
right? So if ads, we were in a perfect world, in a perfect ad vacuum, where you only saw ads for things that you absolutely wanted, and as soon as you bought that thing, you wouldn't see the ads for it anywhere again, right? Which does not happen. We keep getting retargeted for the same shit that we buy, right? You'd be okay with it, I think, right? I mean, I would be okay with it. If they showed me everything I wanted without having to go and do a Google search and find what I wanted, that'd be awesome. I'd love it. The problem is it's just not there yet. And we haven't gotten there, and it's been years and years and years, and we're trying to.
Well, we totally expect also an app like Google Goggles, not Google Glass, Google Goggles, where you look at like a box of Cheerios, or more accurately, a book in a Barnes & Noble, and it can tell me, oh, Amazon has that book and can deliver it to me for $2 less than I can pay for it at Barnes & Noble. Now, Barnes & Noble ain't all that happy about me doing that, but we already have that app on our phone, and it works. Is that advertising?
I mean,
somebody's paying.
Yeah, someone's paying, right? So there's a transaction, right? There's some kind of transaction.
Or somebody could be paying.
Right, someone could be paying. It could be algorithmic, and it's just the app creator may not have any kind of deal with those kind of guys, with Amazon, right, or with Barnes & Noble. But someone's kind of paying. There's some kind of transaction potentially, and it's promoting a piece of content, right? Or it's getting something in. It's a placement, right? It's some kind of placement. You have product placements in TV shows. That's advertising too. Right, when you see a little Windows laptop going on, on a show, and so all of that is considered an ad. But at the same time, it's also just as reasonable to say it's content. Or
here's another one. Google owns Waze now, right? So when I go home or when I came here, it puts little ads, like Taco Bell ads, on my route. And it shows me where that Taco Bell is on my route, and it knows it's near my route, so I can easily jump off and get some tacos.
Yeah.
And that's an ad. Somebody paid for that. And I want Waze in my glass because I want to see where all my friends are, and I want to see where the wrecks are and where the cops are, and get all that traffic information.
I mean, ads have historically had a really bad connotation because they're pushed upon you in very intrusive ways. And traditional ads were on the radio. You can turn it off, right? You can get rid of it. Now you can click away ads very quickly on digital. And so I think that the problem that we're gonna figure out is that a lot of these businesses who aren't typical ad tech businesses, like you said, Waze, right? Or in a lot of cases, any of the book reader kind of application, for example, right? It's not an ad business, but an ad for them actually, to some extent, is a feature, a price comparison, right? That's actually a feature for them, and sure, it could be the back end of it could be some kind of ad, Dutch auction or something of the sort, but it's still just very much a feature, and so locking out those features could very likely diminish the experience for a lot of these applications, and that would be unfortunate. Right? And I think Google's not stupid; they know that.
They know that, and I think this is a shift in Google's Google's business model. Today, it's advertising. You search for DSLR, and it shows you a list of ads over in the right, and that's how they monetize, and they've been doing that really well. With the glass, there's an affordance for something else, which is show me all the camera stores within a mile of me, and Adolf Gasser's right around the corner, so that would pop up. But then another one, the Ritz Camera Company could come up and buy an ad and say, hey, if you come in right now, I'll give you $10 off your first purchase, or something like that. That's an ad, but it could be part of the search experience, right?
Totally.
And take that further, then I want to say, hey, it's beer time.
Right.
I'd like a beer. Bring me a beer.
Right. And people are going to pay for the prominence of the listing potentially, right? And of beers near you, or the bars that you could go to, where you could grab a new beer.
Well, and Budweiser might say, hey, you keep buying my competitor. I'll give you a free beer to see if I can change your brand preference right now.
In which case, the consumer wins, you get free beer.
Yeah,
right.
But that's an ad. So is that allowable in this glass?
I don't know. I mean, I think right now they're super
And then just let me keep talking. I want to tell it, hey, I want a coffee shop near me. I don't know about all the coffee shops, but it'll say, Starbucks and Pete's, which are my two common coffee shops. Using this contextual technology that I'm writing about, it could know that that's my favorite coffee shop and the order I would choose them. But then it could say, hey, there's another coffee shop around the corner and they'd like to get you in.
Right.
And they have a better latte, and they can even use social behavior to say 15 of your friends like that latte better than the Pete's and the Starbucks. But that third coffee company could have been an advertisement that they're paying Google to be included in the list. So is that allowed? I mean, on and on, right?
I don't know.
Where is ads going to be fit in?
I mean, I think so. I think Google's initial claim, I thought, actually was more so focused on search ads, right? I think they were going to get rid of the idea of search ads, which I think, to be honest, I mean, there's just not enough real estate, right? We're also working with a very confined real estate on that screen, and real estate actually was a big reason why people couldn't figure out mobile ads for a very long time.
Yeah, go back to the tweet just so we can talk. Oh, it died? Okay, never mind.
All right, let's do that. Awesome. So which one would you want me to go back to?
The tweets. There you go.
Oh, these.
Yeah. So the what you see in the glass is very content light.
Right.
Very much aimed at a notification style thing. Very lightweight. It appears for 3 seconds, then it disappears.
Yep.
So that's not going to be a Wired magazine kind of advertisement that you sit there and look at it for 10 seconds and really enjoy. Reading about a new vacation spot or something like that.
Right. No, definitely not. I mean, I think it's going to be really interesting. I also agree with you that where does the line get drawn, right? And so I do think if they take away ads in your traditional, whatever you want to call an ad, whether you want to call an ad or a content piece, it will diminish the value of a lot of applications today that are frankly becoming better, like these geo-fenced applications that are showing me interesting offers where I go. Those are useful. I mean, I think they really are helpful to walk in. It's just, you remember the old school Safeway ads, the little red coupon machines, and you go pull out the coupon, right? They're just delivering that to your phone directly for you. Why take a picture of it? You've got it right there. That's valuable for a consumer. Right.
It's also, we're increasingly doing video content. Red Bull does this,
right.
And hey, I'm an ad, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We're talking about content, then we can stick in an ad. Hey, buy Rackspace,
right?
And is that allowable?
So that's where I'm really interested about a couple things. So I think that from the consumer perspective, this is all interesting, and I also, and I don't really know where Google is going to actually open it up and how they're going to open it up. I do suspect that people will clamor once they open up their apps. Has their App Store opened up yet? The Google Glass App Store?
There's a lightweight one, but I assume it is going to look completely different when they announce it for the public.
Right.
When they actually sell it to the public,
right.
Spring of next year.
Right. Okay. So in that case, I think that app development, I think it'll be changed a little bit then, because I think that's the point where you don't want to diminish functionality necessarily from an application. But what I'm actually really interested about, and I was thinking about this the other night, I actually kind of want to build this at AdStage just for fun, is first-person advertising. Right. So the perspective that you get, what's that that GoPro camera that everyone's really excited about, which is really cool because it gives you that first-person view. It's almost like you're there, right? You have that GoPro video of riding on a mountain bike, and you can feel it, and it's interesting. And just imagine if if you're an advertiser or you're a reporter, right? And you're sitting at an NBA game, you're courtside, and you're watching the finals, and you see Kobe make a dunk, and you're like, and it's crazy, and there's just energy, everything around you. Very quickly, you could just record that moment on your Google Glass. With one tap, you could turn it into a promoted tweet and blast it out. Maybe you're from the NBA, maybe you're from NBA, CNBC or whatever, sports. And that could be really interesting. I think as a quick, lightweight authoring platform, it could be great. And that's even just in a spontaneous moment, which I think could be very fascinating. But what about in a more planned moment? If you're BMW, then you have a new you're racing the new BMW M3, you're sitting behind the actual steering wheel. Just seeing that kind of in-person view could be incredible. And people may say that the quality is diminished. It's not a phenomenal camera that you're going to be using.
Well, I assume that's going to change. Right now, the video is done in software,
right?
The compression, and I know next year it'll be done in hardware. So I assume the video quality is going to get better.
It'll get better. It's never going to rival what you actually have in a BMW commercial, but there's a brilliance with that, right? There's an artistic sense with that. I mean, there's a lot of movies lately that have been coming out that are more like hand filmed or so they come off, right? And I think that there's a sense of realism that people actually can relate to and they could use. And so I think as a new authoring platform for video ads, it could be very cool.
Well, and let's think about putting Ashton Kutcher in that car.
Right.
And now he's like, oh,
exactly.
I love this new BMW car. Look at this new beautiful screen, and it's all electronic, and he starts driving it around, and now all of a sudden everybody's watching it because it's Ashton Kutcher, but it's an ad.
Yep.
And is that going to be blocked from my Google Glass? I don't know.
I don't know. I think that they didn't say anything about ad authoring. So if I use it as a tool to produce ads, right? They just said you can't show ads in your actual application. I mean, that's what it clearly said, right? And so that's why I think that ad authoring is a different case. It's whether I do it on the Google Glass. I mean, initially, let's say we want to hack a version of this together.
And this has already happened because bars are invited. Certain bars are banning Google Glass because they don't want you to be spying on their customer.
Right.
But other bars are inviting Google Glass users to come to the bar
really?
to experience what it's like to be at the bar. And of course, you take a couple pictures and take some videos, and soon we'll have a Vine app and an Instagram video app and all that fun stuff. All of a sudden, you're sharing the experience of the bar with other people. That gets more people into the bar. And my brother and I have talked about this because he owns a bar. He's already going to have a Google Glass night. Now nobody's going to show up in Virginia until next year, but he's already thinking about, I'm going to get people who can share the experience of going to his bar with other people. That's how marketing's done. Right?
Exactly. And so I think that it's going to be really fun. I'm glad that you brought up geofencing, because I keep coming back to that in my mind. I think that's going to be such a clutch piece of this. And it's a benefit. That's the whole reason why you're wearing tech, right? Is so that you can engage with the real world, and that tech plays a role in it. And then I think video is huge. I think that, like, to this day, I've worn a couple of Google Glasses, including yours, which you wore in this video. Right?
Yep.
And so, I guess this could have turned into an ad, Robert, but, I don't know.
It was on the top of BuzzFeed.
It did to some extent, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, I think that video is going to be very interesting. It's a great medium, and Google Glass will be, I think, an interesting player in it.
Yeah.
An interesting tool.
Talking about geofences, let's talk about this kind of use case, then we got to wrap up.
Yeah.
I walk into a car dealership, so that BMW car dealership. The Volvo dealership could call my phone, because it's public, and say, hey, you're looking at buying a BMW, you should come over and check out our new Volvos.
Yeah.
And and by the way, if you leave the car dealership right now, I'll give you a $100 bill for showing up at my dealership. Because that's worth doing. If I know that you're buying a car, the profits I'm going to make on that car are probably $1,000 to $1,500 to $4,000, maybe even more for a luxury car. And now if I can get you off that lot and into my dealership, that's worth paying you and paying Google, right? Or paying another app. But if I do it through the phone or through SMS, Google can't block SMS, can't block phone calls.
Yeah.
So how are they going to enforce the advertising industry's ban on advertising?
I don't think they will. I think that they're basically just going to be, exactly. So I think what we're going to find is people just being very creative and clever of the way in which advertising plays a role with Google Glass. It may not be the case that you get your typical search ads or you get your right-hand side ads on the Google Glass, but I think it for sure is going to play a role in various ways, whether it's authoring, whether it's video, whether it's geofence advertisements that are then routed through SMS. It's going to play a way, and I don't think Google can really stop that. And I don't think they should. I think that at that point you're just going to be stifling awesome creativity, and that would be a shame.
1 minute, what are you building that's coming out?
AdStage. So right now we're working on our next iteration. And it's still very much at a high level,
For people who don't know what AdStage is.
So AdStage is a cross-network ad platform where you can build, deploy, and manage ad campaigns across multiple ad networks from a single interface. So LinkedIn, Facebook, Google AdWords, and Bing Ads. And so our next iteration is just a further development of that. It's going to be a much larger platform that can appeal to larger spenders and smaller spenders alike. And we'll have our own little kind of app ecosystem that spenders of different ranges can actually use and hopefully make a difference in their advertising habits.
Well, I think it's going to be companies like yours that's going to figure out how to route around the rules. So if they block a certain kind of ad or block all ads, then you're going to figure out other ways to get in front of my Google Glass. So.
I hope so. I think that agnostic companies to some extent, who are trying to play nice with all the different technologies, will be the folks who go out and have fun with it. And so, hope so.
In a future conversation, I'm going to talk to AdBlock. so the people who block ads,
nice.
There's a need for that too. And
absolutely.
we're going to see if there's going to be ad blockers for this new world as well.
Cool.
So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
AdStage.com?
AdStage, well, that works too, but AdStage.io is the main one.
.io. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Fun conversation.